I won a 1v3 with every brawler in duels. This might be my hardest video yet, and we are starting off with 8-bit, who is just a damage machine. Maybe he's not the strongest duels brawler, however he was good enough and this was my first brawler done. Next up on the list is Ali, and I had no problems with her. I don't think I have to say much. We are all waiting for her to finally get nerfed into oblivion, and so that's Ali complete. Now it's time for Amber, and with her I was honestly kinda struggling. With her I also realized my first problem being the map. This one is really open, and if someone knew how to play range, it was hard to do anything. I had to really focus to win any rounds, but luck also played some part in it. And I carried my momentum into the next few rounds. Amber just has insane damage, and after cooking my enemies she was easily done. A brawler that was also easy to win with was Angelo. This mosquito is just so annoying to play against, and when I could control him, this guy stood no chance against me. It's mostly the fact that he's so hard to actually hit, and he was completed in no time. Next up is Ash, and I thought I would have a hard time with him, but I got positively surprised. Because of his high hit points, I could push my enemy far back, and once in this scenario I had an easy win. Also here I made a very smart decision. I didn't use my super at all. This simple play allowed me to keep my distance against the Brock and easily pick him up, which meant Ash was done. But now it's time for Barley, and throwers are probably the worst class for this challenge. The matchup has to be literally perfect for me to get a clean 1v3 with no Edgars, Kids or any of these dirty assassins. However, I got extremely lucky in my first game, and I don't know how, but Barley was completed first try. Next up is B, and she was probably the most enjoyable 1v3 yet. There's just something really satisfying about slowing down enemies and hitting these hard-hitting shots, which I just simply love. And that's even better against tanks. They can't do absolutely anything to this small animal, and B was a fun experience. From one sniper, it's time for another, and now it's Bells' turn. Tap, tap, tap. Oh my, I'm him. Let's try a small bait. Nice. And I should be good. Nice. So yeah, Bell was a similar story to B. I had to slowly build up my super, and once I had it on my enemy, I was able to demolish this Frank with 100% accuracy, and that's Bell complete. However, now I had to struggle a bit with Barry. He's one of the worst duels brawlers, if not the worst, and I learned it the hard way. This unicorn struggles with pretty much everything. Any aggressive brawler destroys him, he does pretty much no damage, and I also had a skill issue. No! But then I thought I had a perfect opponent. Then I had to defeat a Nani, which was a really close fight, but after some nice dodging and a bit of luck, I got it done. Surely after doing all of that, I wouldn't lose the last 1v1. Oh no. But after that, Brawl Stars might have seen my struggles, and I got blessed with a perfect opponent. This guy was... I don't know what he was doing, but I still had to defeat an Edgar. Oh no. Never mind, that guy is lost, let's go. So Barry was now done, but he took me 8 tries, however it's nowhere near the worst in this video. But after that I had a nice streak which started off with Bibi. Oh, I nearly got that bubble trick, but we good. And I just ran down the last guy in a very skillful way, so Bibi was now complete. And so then I quickly did Bow. He is just a solid brawler right now, and I was able to roll through my enemy without breaking a sweat. And I then started working on Bonnie, who is a very good duels brawler. No matter the matchup, I was able to work around it even without using my super, which just shows how versatile she is, and with no surprises she was an easy 1v3. Now it's time for Brock, and he had some close calls. Oh my, no way. Brock really surprised me with this interaction, because I always see him as just a wall break brawler, but he's actually not bad on his own. Nice, how is that even possible? Next up on the list is Bull, and Bull ever since the rework might be one of the best duels brawlers. I just absolutely destroyed this guy for 3 rounds straight, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even feel bad, so I got that clean 1v3. Buster on the other hand was a little bit different. He's a really good brawler, and in my first game I could already see that. With just Crow left, I thought I had it done guaranteed, however I got slightly surprised. Wait, how did he survive this? And after that I found another problem, people tilting. I had to avoid so many attempts because of that, but once I found someone actually playing the game, I was moving. Buster is a pretty slow brawler to play, but once you get the opportunity, he can do a lot. Duels isn't even a good mod for him, but I didn't struggle at all, and he was completed in no time. So after that I went on a nice streak, starting off with Buzz. I basically copied and pasted the same kill 3 times in a row, but I'm definitely not complaining, and he was easily done. Byron it is, and he wasn't any different. He thought he was dead, so he stood still, and the rest of the rounds went just as well. I am not sure what the plan was here, but the last round was hilarious. I think he's just dead.
Nope.
He did the thing again, that's actually so funny. Next up is Carl, and with him I had no struggles at all. He's one of my favorite brawlers to play, and luckily he's really good on duels, so after a quick cookout session he was finally done. Another one ammo brawler, this time Charlie, and if I had to sum this push up in one word, it would be gadget. Every round I just pressed my gadget, went up and got a kill. And I am not joking, that's how literally 3 rounds in a row went, but I take that nonetheless. After that I was on to Colt. Initially I thought this one was gonna be easy, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. I ended up losing a few times in a row until I got a perfect game. This really bad. Please, oh my gosh. Okay, nice. This guy is lost. Whoa, he just randomly turned the aimbot on. Nice. That's crazy. He dealt more damage than me and still lost. I know a lot of you were waiting for Chuck and wow, he was rough. The main problem with him was that I had to build the same track every time and it may have worked sometimes, but 3 times in a row is a lot to ask for. But I had to keep trying and I found a perfect game. He's still not healing. Oh my, one more. This is so over. No way. She just saved the super for the next game, it's all good. And hard brawlers weren't done yet because it's time for Clancy and wow, he's just not built for this mode. Every game was pretty much against snipers who weren't willing to let me level up, but I then found someone who did just that and I knew I couldn't waste this game. Getting that first upgrade this early was a great sign, so I got the most out of it, and once I was on level 3 there was just no throwing this game and that's Clancy done. After that I could finally play Colette, and if you couldn't tell, she's on my profile picture, so I couldn't let her down. And this was probably the cleanest game of this push. I haven't been this confident with any brawler and that was just a pure domination. Now it's time for some Colt, and normally I'm terrible at him, however this time I locked in. Oh lolo, okay maybe. Wow, that's close. Colt 1v1 to end, how poetic. But I'm just better, woo! Cordelius it is, and I honestly thought he was gonna be just one game bang go home type of situation, but I got slightly baited. Okay, nice. Please, I need it, man. 200 HP. I really don't know what's up with this number, but I had to bounce back and that's what I did. Cord is just such a good brawler for this mode and he was finally completed. Now it's time for a classic brawler being Crow, and I had a lot of fun playing him. Maybe he doesn't deal the most damage, but it's that heal reduction which completely changes some interactions, and this brawler is just so good, people were giving up. Not much more to be said, he was a very easy 1v3. Next up is Daryl, and this was just a masterpiece of a performance. Something just clicked that match out of nowhere and the last round was crazy. I was nowhere near my super, on a completely open map getting pressured by Lumi. I honestly just expected it to be GG's go next, but I rolled in with just 3k HP and I played it perfectly, so Daryl was a clean win. And after that it's time for Doug. Like 2 months ago this would be pretty much impossible, but now I can't even pretend like it's hard. Ever since his rework he just became a menace to society, and I can't believe what I'm gonna say, but Doug was extremely easy. Draco it is, and I mean he's just broken. I just ran down this poor guy 3 times in a row and he was easily done. However, what wasn't easily done was Dynamite. I think from the gameplay itself you can tell I have no clue what I'm doing, however once I shook off the rust and clicked that disgusting gadget I was making progress. Slowly but surely I was picking off these guys' brawlers until the game was just over. Luckily I now had a chance to play a much better Duels brawler being Edgar, and this was a piece of cake. He has ruined a lot of my tries so far and it was a nice feeling being able to run through anyone in my way. Good brawlers didn't leave me here and El Primo was interesting. Yo, Dynamite, are we for real? And as you might expect, the next 2 rounds were simple. I used my supers as efficiently as possible and so that was easy. Ems it is, and I am not a fan of her gameplay, but after making this storm play against the Edgar I felt quite good. My opponent put so much trust into his Edgar he couldn't take my Ems and so 1v3 was completed. Next up is Eve, and this was really frustrating. Not because the brawler is bad, but I kept on throwing on the last brawler. This happened not once but twice, which got me quite mad, but after 5 attempts I got a perfect round. After outplaying this little Edgar I just couldn't waste it, and so I locked in, ran my opponent down, and in the last round I had some fun. Oh, I don't think he's surviving this. Wow, look at this damage, oh my. And so then I got to play Fang, and wow, that was amazing. He recently got a super damage buff and I could feel it right away. It just felt really refreshing to play such a dominant brawler, and Fang took just 3 tries to be done. Now it's time for Finks, and I mean he's just a good brawler. Good damage, good gadget, you get it, and without shedding a sweat Finks was simply completed. Now it's time for my boy Frank, and his HP hard carried this push, however I had a weird interaction. Wait, what? Oh my gosh, bro, what happened there? I am still not sure, but I used Frank's biggest advantage as well as I could and I easily won. All that damage for nothing, bro. After that I had to do Gale and with him I got the fastest lob, but once I played a bit slower, I was popping off with him. This brawler still could finish a 1v1 in seconds and with no struggles at all, Oscar69 for real was defeated. Genie's up next and I was kinda scared about him. He just doesn't deal that much damage, but I guess it was enough against a boss. And the rest was just as simple. Let's just pull a Shelly, what could go wrong? Nice, man, another first try brawler. Next up is Gray and he also doesn't deal a lot of damage. Bro, can this guy just die already? Thank you. Clearly, he's not a damage machine, however, he's got great movement and that's what makes him different. His projectile is also quite hard to hit, but after reading this guy like a book, this wasn't an issue and Gray was done. A brawler that doesn't struggle with damage is Grief, and this was actually so simple. I just played my range nicely, kept my opponent in a really tough situation to get out of, and that's a 1v3 done. A brawler that I thought I was gonna struggle with was Grom, but that just wasn't the case. Okay, nice. Oh my, how did I win that? And after that I played perfectly. I used my range as well as I could and then Chester thought he could just run me down, but I suddenly got my super, deleting him from existence, so Grom somehow was easy and that means I'm already halfway there with my brawlers. And good streak continued with Gas. I firstly had to go through this tilting game, but once that was done I was dominating. That Gas shield was deadly to my opponents and it got to the point I started trolling a bit. Gas is just a good reliable pick and I was done in one game. Next up is Hank and he's kinda like Doug. He had such a good globe that I can't even joke about him anymore. Oh lol. Luckily he's still a milky boy and that's why we all love him. After that I had to do Jackie and this was extremely skillful. I just pressed my gadget, then super and I won. However the last round was a bit closer. I'm so talented. Huggy Wuggy outplayed. Now it's time for a bit of Chinese dude action, but this was a bit rough. If not for the kit, I was just throwing myself. Surely that's not losable. Yo! But once I got myself back together, I was unstoppable. It's kinda unfortunate this brawler doesn't get any hype at all when he's so fun to play. The speed alone is just so cool to play with and thanks to that 1v3 was completed. Janet is up next and this was literally a perfect 1v3. I won't tell you why for a while, but I was still cooking this guy. I even got a kill with a gadget and just Kaze was left, who I just kept in this corner and there was nothing she could do. There is the reveal, 0 damage taken. But now it's time for one of the worst Duels brawlers, Jessie. I didn't even know it was possible to be this horrible, but wow, she exceeded my expectations. No matter the matchup, I was basically defenseless. My only hope was the super, but even that thing was useless. Every game was basically just me getting ran through and I didn't even know if Jessie was doable. I couldn't hit a single shot for a while, but I then got a perfect matchup. Tara maybe wasn't an easy pickup, but I still got her. Then there was Squeak, who normally is amazing in the Jessie, but I still somehow got him. And there was the last brawler left, Lily. Surely I couldn't throw this amazing setup. Yes, I actually thought I would lose that, let's go. This took 8 attempts by the way. And unfortunately for me, my struggles didn't end here. With Juju in my very first game I was 2-0 up, but the last brawler was Pam and she was just too tanky for me, so I lost. And this is like the most annoying thing about this challenge. Losing at the start isn't that bad because I can just quickly restart, but when I have this false hope to just lose in the end is so heartbreaking. Also, another guy tilting, Juju was just so annoying. And the worst part is that I really like this brawler. She's in my second most popular video, so I couldn't let her down and I finally locked in. Oh my gosh, I'm low. Nice, oh my, that's such a hard game. But luckily for me, I could now play Kaze and I was able to have some fun. Woo! Even though I am not that good at her, I was making her work quite well. So well, in fact, that this guy just gave up. I am cooking, bro. However, her male counterpart was a different story. Last round to win. What could go wrong? Yo, what am I shooting? And it just didn't end here. I was losing every single 1v1 in a row and some of them probably a skill issue, but this one was something else. Okay, this is just a berry. Why is he full HP? Yo! Genuinely, I had no clue what was wrong. From time to time, I had some better moments and I was thinking that this was the game, but of course I had to miss my super again. But even if I did hit it, I had like the most unlucky interactions possible. 42 HP! But that's when I thought to myself that I'm making this much harder than it needs to be. Kenji is arguably one of the best brawlers in the game right now and losing simple 1v1s was simply embarrassing. But then Daryl was the last one standing. Please let me finish it. Yes, oh my gosh, how was that hard? In fact, it took me 13 attempts. Just horrible. Luckily with Kit, I didn't have any of these struggles. In fact, this was my fastest 1v3 yet at just 35 seconds, so it's fair to say that this guy got absolutely cooked. Next up we got Larry and Lori, however Kit still didn't leave me. Every round was just this stinky cat jumping and destroying me, but once I caught a break, I was popping off. Larry is probably the best thrower for 1v3s because his damage is really consistent. Also, he's got pretty good range, just a very versatile brawler, and I was easily done with him in no time. Now let's go for an all-time classic, Leon. He has recently really fallen off and I could feel it right away. There was also a lot of people playing like rats, which definitely didn't help, but once I could finally play the game, I was moving. The range was ranging and damage was damaging, so Leon was an easy 1v3. Another easy 1v3 was Lily. Right now she's good into like everything, which is kinda crazy. Her gadget is also definitely a big part of that and it was a fun experience. Oh my gosh, that was close. And there we go, nice. Another brawler that's really fun for me is Lola. She's recently been really growing on me and I am not sure what exactly it is about her, but I was able to easily get her done and that's just Lola for you. Now it's time for some cold gameplay and Lou definitely delivered. There is just something so satisfying about hitting a full clip with him, which I just love. Also, his area control is unlike any other brawler and with the combination with the gadget he felt unstoppable. First try by the way. Brawlers that start with the letter L are somehow all W's and Lumi is no different. She's like the most broken, boring brawler right now, so that was really simple. Next up is Maisie and she was a lot of fun. Even though I was kinda struggling, I was still able to lock in and I did pretty well. Yo, Edgar, you really thought that was gonna work? Just pathetic. What also was pathetic were my Mandy skills. Everything I did was just not working and it took me a barely matchup to gain some momentum. It's like I just remembered I could play Mandy and after a nice slow and a finishing tap, Mandy was completed. Kinda ironic, but Max was quick. I maybe wasn't warmed up yet, but against a Jessie I could do anything, and then B was left who I was dodging flawlessly. The guy just couldn't hit me no matter what, and I eventually finished him off, making me done with Max. Next up is Meeple, and he was a bit harder to make work. If not for Edgar's, it was just free win after free win, like everyone is just tilting nowadays, I don't know why. But anyways, the main problem with Meeple was his damage. It's just not enough against tanks, but once I wasn't against any, I was making progress. Unfortunately, he's just not a really strong brawler on his own anymore, but luckily for me, the shooting through walls aspect is still good, so Meeple was done in 8 tries. Meg on the other hand was a magnificent experience. She has HP, she has damage, and she has a really good star power, making her a force to be reckoned with. And that was first try done. And the good streak continued with Melody. Oh, that's bad. Once I won that, I just knew this game was mine. I honestly don't know how he lost with that RT, but I take it nonetheless. And that brings us to Miko, and Miko makes me really happy. Being as annoying as possible with the jumps is just amazing to me, and hovering my super on top of someone is just a guaranteed kill every single time. Really clean and simple. Next up is one of my favorite brawlers, Mo. I really don't know what it is about him, but I just like the way he plays. He's just a pretty underrated brawler in my humble opinion, and so that's another first try 1v3. However, a brawler that I don't really like is Mortis, but that's for a very specific reason. I am bad at him. Just straight up horrendous, you could say, but once I figured out what to do, it wasn't that bad. Even against his not so good matchups, I was pushing through and Mortis actually didn't turn out as bad as I expected him to be. Mr. P was also a really positive surprise. I thought I would be sitting here for hours, but once I got the kit, I knew nothing could stop me. Ooh, I'm gonna try to kill her with a porter. Why is she still trying? Nice. Mr. P, green tick done. Nani it is, and I instantly noticed how washed I am at this brawler. But ever since that, I was locked in. I was basically keeping my enemy in this corner for as much as possible and I was getting free rounds. Keeping my distance was a very important thing to use, and once I did, Nani was a clean win. Next brawler up is Nita, and she's not Duels material. Getting that first super takes ages, and even then it's not that useful. I was getting cooked for a very long time, but I kept trying and trying until I got this match. After just looking at the brawlers, I thought it was over, but luckily for me, I prevailed. I used everything I had to pressure this Lu, and once I picked him up, Nita was completed. Oli is a brawler I didn't know what to think about because she doesn't deal a lot of damage, however once I cooked this Frank, I had no doubts. Her hypnosis thingy, whatever it's called, got used perfectly by me, and once this little Piper was the last brawler standing, I got another first try completion. It's time for some OTs, and this brawler is disgusting. Not in a bad way, but the things I was doing to this kid should not be allowed. It was basically a domination across the board, and so that's OT's done. Pam on the other hand is a brawler that was really annoying me throughout this whole video, but once I got to play her, I knew exactly why. She is so annoying to deal with because of her HP. I can take as many hits as I want, but if I have the turret, it just doesn't matter. My opponent was so over it, he decided to give up, so that's Pam for you. Next up is Pearl, and I normally don't count these free wins, but the guy started trying on his last brawler, so I still demolished him. No TikTok video for you. Penny was another brawler I really wanted wanted to play, even though she's not the greatest in duels, but she was still good enough. There is no better feeling than killing Ali, so Penny was a freebie. Finally, I got to Piper, and this also went really smooth. Woo! I have days when I'm the worst Piper in the world, but this time it was the exact opposite. I was hitting like every single shot, I got an easy win, which I take. However, it's now time for arguably the worst duels brawler, Poco. There is just nothing going for him. He's got no DPS, no stun, no knockback, just nothing. I could sneak in a round or two, but this was just so painful. However, on my 6th attempt, I found a perfect opponent. Dynamite, where are you running? There is Stormmate, you will die there. Wow. This was eventually bound to happen. I found the most lost opponent ever, but he still nearly got me. It's over, bro. Ah, how is he still alive? Oh my, how was that any close, bro? Now I was rewarded with one of the best duels brawlers, and RT didn't disappoint. He has damage, he has range, and he counters tanks. What more can you ask for? Even against snipers he can hold his own. No, he got baited by that. And that's RT done. After that I had to play Rico, which was really close. Every single interaction could have gone any way, however I focused up, hit my shots pretty much perfectly, and Milan was defeated. Rosa wasn't as exciting, but to make it interesting, I created this nicely shaped structure and I used it to win my 1v1s, however it may sound. Apart from that, I just ran down this guy and I easily won. Really simple, and that's 80th brawler done. Next up is Ruffs, and he's just not the brawler he used to be. I don't know why, but he just doesn't feel that good right now. Maybe it's his damage or health, I don't know, but I still somehow made him work. But then I had to do Sam, who was the third hardest brawler in this push. This was genuinely horrible. I just couldn't do anything into any brawler, no matter if it was a tank, assassin, damage dealer, just nothing worked. I once had a crazy round against 3 hard counters, but I somehow got the Gale, then thanks to that amazing star power I somehow got the Charlie and just Lou was left. Please man, I need it. And since that happened, I was back in the loop of throwing. I was wondering why was that even hard, like Sam isn't even a bad brawler. So I started trying. I was playing like everything was on the line because I couldn't look at this brawler anymore and only Daryl was left. Okay, I got hyper. Yes, finally, bro. It just took a broken hyper. Sandy this, and I don't know how he was easier than Sam. Oh, that's so close, bro. He doesn't have that much damage, he's not even tanky, yet it was working wonderfully. Last brawler being Grom made this a very easy ending, and Sandy was just done. I would have never guessed that Shade would also be a hard brawler. It's a very similar story to Sam, but this time it took me 14 attempts to get into this game. Maybe I was really tired of playing at this point, I don't really know, but this should not have taken this long. Luckily, this Edgar was triggered more than me and he just gave up. I am never playing Shade. Now it's time for an all-time classic, being Shelly, and she was honestly quite fun. It's a very movement-dependent brawler and really simple to play. That super and gadget combo is also really clean, so that was a piece of cake. A classic brawler I didn't enjoy as much was Spike. I just really dislike how he's supposed to be played. You just sit on max range and chip away your enemies until someone makes a mistake. Also, hitting shots is very unskillful. Like, I'm not even doing a good job, but I'm still winning. The only cool thing was this guy glitching out for no reason, and Spike was finally done. Alongside Poco, Sprout has to be the worst brawler in this mode because of one particular brawler. Edgar. Every single loss it was just Edgar chasing me across the map and it was slightly infuriating. But once I didn't get into a match with him, I was doing okay. Oh no, it's Nolly. No, that's bad. Once the Surge was left, I just had to play my range and that's what I did, so Sprout wasn't as bad as expected. I hate Squeak so much. This took 15 tries, by the way. What a joke. But a brawler I don't hate is Stu. Oh my, read like a book. Winning that was so important because the rest of his brawlers were much easier to defeat. Stu is still pretty good into anything, which really helped me, and that's what I like to see. 90th brawler is Surge, and with him it was all about getting that first super. Once I got it, I was cooking this guy with no mercy, and it was so bad he just gave up in the end, so Surge was done. A brawler that also is really based on her super is Tara. Once I had it, I could do anything I wanted to any brawler, but to be fair, Gadget also did carry. She's just a great tank counter across the board and a great 1v3 brawler. Now, the last two brawlers are Tick and Widow, so I went with the worst out of the two, and yeah, this was bad. Hitting shots with Tick is hard on a map like this one, but even if I did hit a few and got my super, it was easily breakable, which was really painful. Also, the speed pad didn't help me in any way, and I was ready to sit there for hours. But then, this happened. Okay, let's super. Of course it's useless. Oh my gosh, with the gadget, it's over. Oh lolo, this is the game. Let's send in the head. Please, bro. Yes, finally. Thought it would be worse, to be honest. And now it's time for the last brawler, Willow. There is a cheesy strategy with this wall, so I used it to my advantage and I kinda felt bad, but game is game, so I used it efficiently. That was the easiest brawler to get done with, and there it is. Every brawler 1v3 is completed. If you guys enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and see ya in the next one.